Hello again, guys. I'm back. Today is November the 3rd, 2017. Welcome to my channel, Alien Society. The name of this video is called Valiant Thor Revisited Part 3. Now, of course, you guys are probably thinking again, why did I mention this story again? This one is basically about the inconsistencies within the story. I know when I first started this YouTube channel, like I told you guys, is that, long story short, I was moving around with the camera too much. Some of my videos were blurry, and I apologize for that. It was not intentional. I didn't really know how to make these videos properly. I didn't even know how long I would be able to make the video for at the time. So this one is more of a clearer view, just like the other two videos before this, in telling you how I got detailed information that the man known as Valiant Thor right here is Frank Ernest Stranges. Now, everyone, of course, may be wondering, who may that be, right? Well, the person that knew him for over 25 years, okay? And that person is the woman who was married to him since 1948, from 1948 to 1974, okay? That was his first wife. Now, you see, the thing is, some people may think, well, maybe she had a vendetta against him. Maybe what she's saying was a lie. No. Don't you think that she would know who Frank is? It's her husband, don't you think? And she knew him plenty of years, okay? So, when she gave me detailed information as to the meeting right there at Howard Menger's home, to the story that was made of Valiant Thor in 1960, that's when he created the book, My Friend from Beyond Earth, okay? Before he decided to, after perfecting the book a little more with more inconsistencies and and help for some friends such as August C. Roberts, that's August Charles Roberts, Gray Barker, and James Mosley, he was able to come out with yet a revised version of his small pamphlet, My Friend from Beyond Earth, and called it Stranger at the Pentagon. So you see, he had to carefully cover his tracks little by little so that the story is more believable. Okay? So basically that's exactly what happened. And for those of you who do not believe that that is what I've done, bear in mind that I have nothing to gain from this. Okay? I decided to look into this for over 5 years. Now, before I came out with this, I wanted people to understand that I wanted to make sure that every single information that I got was accurate and not some personal vendetta against Frank Ernest Stranges, okay? And so I had to investigate everything and make sure that everything is on point where I can come out and say, okay, well, this is this and this is that according to the source, okay? Now, if I felt that this source was telling me lies, then I would not be talking about this today. I would actually be promoting the story of Valiant Thor. However, since I have 100% proof that the man right here is Frank Ernest Stranges, okay, then I can't say that this story is true. So with that, I'm going to show you guys every inconsistencies within the story. And that's why I'm also telling you guys how you yourself can obtain this information, okay? And because I'm not a special person, guys. I'm not special. You guys can get the same information that I've gotten, okay? Like I said, if you go to newspapers.com, you can find every detailed information you need when it comes to Howard Menger's home. If you're going to do surrounding this, you'll find a whole bunch of articles on Howard Menger. You'll find several articles on Frank Ernest Stranges, which many includes his criminal offenses that took place. And now we're talking about after the fact, guys, okay? So, and not only that, he kept impersonating, by telling people that he was some type of Secret Service agent, FBI agent. And I did show you guys documented proof, okay, that there was a person who reported Frank Ernest Stranges for saying that he is part of the FBI when in fact he was not. And I did show you guys that in the second video of this third video here. This is part 3, obviously, so I did tell you guys that. Now, at this particular time, that, like I told you guys, these are the people that were just getting there, okay? And there was actually 150 people there, and not all believed that Howard Menger was telling the truth. This is Howard Menger over here with his wife Rose at the time, okay? So Frank Ernest Stranges came because Howard Menger is the local celebrity. And when I say local, that's because Frank Ernest Stranges and Bernice lived in Irvington, New Jersey as well. Okay, because they were together. And this is what took place. So Frank went. And the only reason Bernice didn't go to this thing was because she was not into that like Frank was. Okay? Now you got to understand that if you are a Christian, then you don't really quite are taught to believe that anything that's outside of the Bible can exist, such as extraterrestrials, okay? That, for someone who's, you know, a Christian, that's not something that's natural. Now, yeah, I do know now that the Vatican is a little more open than they were years ago. But remember, guys, I'm talking about years ago. That was Frank Ernest Stranges' era, and that was his first wife's era also. Because she was born the same year as him, 1927. She was born in August. Obviously, he was born in October. So she would be older than him by a couple months. But anyways, you know, in coming out with that story, guys, it was basically something that you guys can clearly see that didn't add up. For a fact, he tells you Nancy Warren, right, is the name that he mentions as a top official of the government. Now, you can search the name if you want, but that person is non-existent. But then you're told by others, other than Frank, of course, because he's not alive to tell you that, but others will say, oh, well, he didn't give you the true name of the person because he had to make sure that he hides the identity. But then, if you think about it, guys, by using, you know, if you just think about how he did that, right? Just think about it for a second. He says that the name is Nancy Warren, right? Now, even though that he didn't say the name, which he should have anyways, right? If it was a real story, that is. Don't you think that he still would get that person in trouble regardless, whether man, female, or not, because he brought this out in a book. So now that person could be in trouble, right? Just the very fact that he brought the story out will definitely raise a red flag for that individual if they were still alive, right? All I'm saying, guys, is that the story was made to be believed. That's why Frank Ernest Stranges used basically that method by saying that it's a true story. So you and I can believe that is an actual event that took place. And that's why I kept trying to tell you guys, right, that Howard Menger never mentioned anything about any guy anyone, period, whether male or female. All right, let's just say that. By the name of Valiant Thor. He just never mentioned anyone by the name of Valiant Thor. Okay? Even though that his Venusians weren't, well, basically nameless because he didn't know their names, I guess, right? Well, he did say L and some other stuff, but the fact of the matter is that they were blondes. The Venusians that met with Howard Menger, according to him, right? Well, of course, I did tell you that Howard Menger's story is also a hoax, okay? Now, this is because there was other organizations that have been investigating his story, and a lot of things that Howard Menger said did not add up. And bear in mind, guys, that Frank Ernest Stranges was also investigated by these organizations to validate his story of Valiant Thor. Did they find any proof? Nope. They didn't find any proof that the story was true. Now, that's the thing I didn't understand. If he was married to Bernice, that's just the part that get me. You know, like, they could have easily spoken to her at the particular time. Well, maybe they did. I'm not sure. Okay? And maybe at that time, she didn't really feel like telling anyone that, because obviously that would destroy their income. Because what is their income? Their income is the story of Valiant Thor. So you see, guys, now when you start looking into the story in terms of, oh, 2 officers were basically were at the scenery, and they picked up this guy named Valiant Thor, and through thought transference or whatever, you know, they managed to take him from, you know, the area that he landed to the area of the Pentagon. Now, of course, when you try to locate these so-called officers, obviously he never mentions them, so there's no way you can find them. Now, you see what I'm saying, guys? Frank Ernest Stranges knew what he was doing when he did that. It was intended that when he makes the story, it sounds very believable, but at the same time, he wasn't going to reveal the so-called identities of the individuals that were involved in the whole story. But the only thing that he did was he mentioned real historic people, like former Dwight Eisenhower, who was our president at one point, right, from 1953 to 1961. And then he uses Nixon. Now, you see what I'm saying, guys? It's like every single person that he used was part of history. But then, when you try to ask for proof on certain avenues, he switches. He switches. Like, when people want to go to Lake Mead in Las Vegas, and, hey, why did Val Thor choose to be in Las Vegas? Come on, guys. Put 2 and 2 together. Okay? Las Vegas is known for what, guys? Casino, entertainment, right? Everyone loves Vegas. It's a good place to go. So I'm just trying to tell you that that's why he basically chose that anyways, right? He got a spaceship called Victor 1. He went on his way to say that the child of Valiant Thor is called Valdina. Look up the word Valdina, guys, and you will see that Valdina is a place in Italy. How convenient, right, guys? How convenient that he chose Valdina as a name for his extraterrestrial being. Human-looking man named Valiant Thor. I'm just trying to point out facts to you guys. This is how I got everything in detail. And that's why I'm giving it to you guys the way that I've gotten it. That's why I spoke to Julie Stranges, because I felt that she might be able to tell me the truth also, even though that, hey, Frank's first wife, that for me was, like I said, the icing on the cake. So I really didn't need anyone else to tell me any other details that I already know. But because Julie Stranges happened to be the last wife, the third wife, Frank Ernest Stranges, I figured I'd ask her some questions. And it did take about 40 minutes, you know. And the thing about this is, it's like everything that I questioned was being danced around. She didn't give me direct answers, basically. I mean, on some fronts she did, but she would say things like, well, if you don't, you can choose to believe if you don't want to. And when I asked her, did she have contact with Valiant Thor, she blankly said, yes. But, of course, I know that's not true. I was told that that's Frank Ernest Stranges himself, so how can Valiant Thor be real, right? So the whole thing is, she still lied on the telephone with me, and I know many of you are not going to believe me, and that's fine. You know, I didn't give my name, neither did I give my name to Bernice. Julie Stranges spoke a little bit with my child, my daughter. I mean, it's just, see, she might know me now by that, but I never said my name. So I know a lot of you are not going to believe me, and that's fine. Okay? It doesn't bother me because, again, you can choose to believe the story if you want to continue believing in it, like I said. But I gain nothing from this. Nothing at all. Okay? Now, getting that detailed information from her, that's everything for me, you know? I'm like, wow, okay, well, I'm not surprised that the story is basically a hoax because you can clearly see all the inconsistencies within the story. So people are wondering, okay, well, what about the photographs, right? I showed you guys in my videos about the photographs. Didn't I show you how doctored the photographs look? This is the only real photograph. Well, there are a couple more, but of the conference, this is the real one. But when you got that color one, that's definitely not the real one, guys. That's a doctored one right here. That one. That's the one that you see in Frank Ernest Stranges' book, where he puts a group picture, Highbridge, New Jersey in 1958. Now, of course, you guys know that that's not true. There's no way that that house at Highbridge, New Jersey, was Howard Menger's home. Okay? Because you guys already know, like I told you, and this is all documented stuff, guys. Howard Menger's home was sold in December of 1957. Okay? So there's no way possible that this is a real photo of Highbridge, New Jersey, the home, that is, of Howard Menger. Now, we can say that these people were there at the time. You know, like, somewhat saying these are the first people that came to the house. And yeah, we can say that. We can say that to some degrees. But we can't say the year was 1958. Okay? Because I just finished telling you that in December of 1957, the home of Howard Menger was sold. Okay? So he no longer lived there. He now moved on, if I'm not mistaken, to the city of Lebanon, New Jersey. And that's where he did the very first big Eastern UFO alien conference. Okay, in the East Coast. It was more like George Van Tassel's giant rock convention, right, in the West Coast, in California. So Howard Menger made his own in the East Coast, in Lebanon. I'm just trying to show you guys that there's a lot of funny inconsistencies in these stories. But you guys, you see, you get mad at me because you think that I'm making all this up, that I didn't meet Frank's first wife, rather talk to her, you know. That's the thing I don't understand. Like, there's nothing I'm gaining from this. You know, I'm a seeker like everyone else out there. You know, I do want to believe that we are not alone in the universe, and I do believe that. But it's sad that you have these people on our planet that create these false stories to gain attention or just to make a living out of these stories, okay? Because that's exactly what's happening. And it's still happening to this very day. You got people falsifying, you know, stories. You got people that are still claiming to be top ufologists, right? But like I told you in my other videos, it's more about their next book that you can buy, or their next lecture you can pay to see them again. Okay? This right here is free. I gain nothing from this. All the avenues that I've gotten, I've given it to you already, guys. In my second video, if I'm not mistaken, I told you guys where to go. I mean, it's not that hard to look for anyone, guys, when you're investigating something, okay? Now, when you look at the story and you say, okay, where are the two officers that supposedly in Alexandria, Virginia, right? Where are these two officers? Why they never came forward? Oh, let me guess. people are going to start saying, oh, well, maybe they didn't want to come forward with this because they were going to be, criticized. And, okay, well, it's not like the extraterrestrial UFO thing was a secret, okay? It was the big thing in the 1950s. So why would these so-called officers not come forward? Not only that, guys, why wouldn't anyone, okay, that were present right here, why any of those people came forward? Now, you guys are probably wondering, how come Bernice, right, Frank's first wife, why didn't she come forward and say anything of this herself? Guys, if you really want to know why, as you guys can see, it's the obvious, because that was the source of their income. In her revealing that the Valiant Thor story is a hoax, now Frank and her will not be able to have that particular income, which was raking in a lot. Okay? Because you got to remember, they divorced in 1974. In 1975, dear old Frank didn't waste no time. He just got married right away. After being married with Bernice for 25 plus years. And then he runs off into the sunset with a young 19-year-old teenager. At the time, her name was Denise Faye Winter. Okay? He was 47 years old at the time. He was turning 48 the next day, because he got married on 1975, the month of his birthday, which is October, one day before his birthday, October 5th. Okay? He was turning 48 the next day. So you guys can say, well, that's made up. No, no, no. That's not made up, guys. That's in the archives. Check it out. Every single document stuff that I've gotten, you guys can find it as well. It's not something that's secret, guys. It's not. You know? You got to say praise the computer technology today, because you can find anything that you're looking for today. Anything. Now just imagine if we didn't have computers. We wouldn't be able to find out a lot of things that's happening on this planet. We wouldn't even, if there was no such thing as televisions or computers, we wouldn't be able to know anything of what's going on around the world. And people could just say anything and be believed based because there is no way to validate, right? All I'm saying, guys, is that everything that I found, you can find too. There's nothing I'm gaining from this thing. You know, so once again, if you guys want to believe me, you can. If you don't, that's fine. I mean, there's nothing I can do. What can I do if you don't believe me? I'm just going to continue to show people all the facts that I've gotten, okay? And I'm willing to speak to the people who still promote this story as fact. I don't care if it's Craig Campobasso. I already spoke to Julie, but again, we were speaking on a different term. I would doubt she really want to talk to me this time around, but again, I want to talk to the individuals, okay, that are promoting Valiant Thor as fact. I will give you my first and last name also. So if you want to meet, we can meet too. But the thing about this that I'm saying is that, how is it that you're going to get into a spaceship, right? And the first thing you got to use is the bathroom. Then he says there's no toilet paper. Then he says that the people, through thought transference, told him press a button, you know, and he'll be able to, you know, get cleaned up. Easy, 1, 2, 3, you're all done. Think about the things that he says, such as going into some checkpoints within the Pentagon. How he went in. Now, mind you, he haven't met this so-called Venusian, right? He happened to pass these restricted area checkpoints. Now, you and I know that that is not possible. If you do not have any clearance to enter anywhere in the Pentagon, or in Washington for that matter, okay, the White House, there is no way you're going to get inside. Now, I don't care what year that was, whether it was the 40s, 50s, 60s, it doesn't matter. You know, our country is the most advanced country in the world. All right? So, in people saying that, oh, well, Frank had clearance to go in. No, he didn't. He did not have clearance to enter the Pentagon. Okay? He was not no FBI agent, as he was making himself to say. Because he was telling plenty of people that he was an FBI agent when in fact he was not. Look it up, guys, so you can see I didn't make this up. I didn't make this up, guys. Everything I'm telling you, you will see it all yourselves. From the guy who's selling diplomas without a state license, okay, that's Frank. From a guy who gets arrested on a $25,000 bail for carrying in his jet plane 200 kilograms of marijuana. All right, so him and his pilot gets arrested, and they're both on a $25,000 bail each. But yet people are going to say, oh, well, that's people trying to set Frank up, right? Because that's exactly what people are going to say. Oh, well, you know, the government was after him because he did. No. Let's get this straight, guys, okay? There was no one after him. They were looking for him at a particular time because he was going around, okay, saying that he was part of the federal government when in fact he was not. You can't proclaim yourself to be an agent. That's like saying locally, you're going around telling people you're a cop. Now you're impersonating, okay? You can't do that. You can't impersonate a state official. Because you can get in a lot of trouble for doing that. And that was the case with Frank Ernest Stranges, okay? As I show you the documents on the second video that I showed you, that this is on the FBI website, that you can catch it on the vault, okay? And that's a report that was sent in by Nightcap. It's a UFO alien group, okay? More into UFOs because, you know, they want to explain or understand unidentified flying objects at that particular time. Now you guys already know it's no longer called UFOs. It's called unexplained aerial phenomenon. However, I'm still saying UFO because in that time, in 1950s, that was the term that they used. Okay? So, for me, it's like saying, all right, this guy was able to enter a couple checkpoints without a single clearance. That doesn't make no sense. He just jeopardized this individual that supposedly let him in the Pentagon, right? Because remember, guys, this book came out in 1967. So that means that this person, if it was real, of course, would have been in big trouble because that book. You mean to tell me that the government would not known about that book? Guys, come on. Really? He's making a detailed lie, okay, about him entering the Pentagon via a high-ranking United States official that brought him into the Pentagon and supposedly told him to open up his suit jacket, right, every time he passes checkpoints and they let him in. Now, come on, guys, really? Come on. That's why I made this video. This was the one about the inconsistencies. It's just I don't really understand how people could believe that he actually passed these checkpoints with no clearance. That just, I mean, come on. That's trying to say that our government of the United States is weak. We know the United States is not weak. Okay? Everybody looks to this country. Because why? Because we're the greatest country in the world. Okay? It's just, I'm sorry, guys. It's just sometimes I just like, wow, it's just saddening how people cannot believe the clear, detailed facts that this is Frank Ernest Stranges, even though that I gave you a photograph, okay? The photograph that I given you guys, that you yourself can find in the archives of the North Central Bible Seminary in Minnesota. That's what Frank said, right? He really went there because there's pictures of him there. And that's where I got my pictures from, okay? That's where I got my pictures from, guys. Here it is again. That's the photograph. These are his classmates at the North Central Bible Institute, okay? Or seminary. It had many names, guys. This is Minneapolis, Minnesota. Frank Ernest Stranges is sitting right here. That's him right here. And of course, I gave you guys a close look that matches the same individual that I was told is Frank Ernest Stranges. But the reason that I showed you guys is so you guys can see that he's the one that was lying to you guys the whole time. And you guys chose to believe that Valiant Thor is real when he's right here. Okay? Now you guys can see this video, this picture in its entirety. All you have to do is go to the archives of the North Central Institute. You will see it yourselves, guys. You see, it's not me. I'm not the one that's manipulating photographs. I'm just showing you guys. This is his classmates. And that's Frank Ernest Stranges right here. Now, the other day, someone said, that doesn't look like Frank. It is Frank, guys. It's Frank. It's the same guy, man, guys. There's no way that I would give you false information. Once again, if I felt that that was a false information, I wouldn't be here doing these videos. Okay? This is the same guy that you guys just saw sitting down at the Bible Institute or seminary in Minnesota. Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now, at one point, you guys saw that when I made one of my videos, I put the a clip. Unfortunately, yeah, I kind of YouTube told me that I couldn't really use that clip, and obviously it was my fault for that. I didn't know that at the time. The clip of it was The Man Behind the Curtain. You know, I'm sure you guys saw The Wizard of Oz, a nice, wonderful movie. And this guy was portraying to be some type of powerful alien, right? Or whatever you want to call it. Because he was the Grand Wizard of Oz. But then what happens when the dog pushed the curtain, there was a man who was controlling the big monster Oz, right? And that's what I was trying to show you guys. I was trying to show you guys, in detail that Frank Ernest Stranges himself was a controller. That's what he did, okay, guys? He would be the man behind the curtain. And he was Valiant Thor. This is him himself right here. But of course, people to this very day don't believe it. People to this day think that I didn't speak to his first wife, which is fine with me. It doesn't matter. I don't gain anything from it. People to this day don't even believe I spoke to Julie, his third wife and last wife. Okay? I did speak to them. But people don't have to believe me. I didn't give them my name. Okay? All I can say, guys, is do your own research on your own. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Look it all up yourselves, guys, and you see that I'm not the one who made this up. All I can say is you guys have to look, but look with an open mind. Don't go into these places with a closed mind. So, people are wondering, even I wondered at one point, because the way Howard Menger was talking about his wife, obviously Connie, who happened to be his second wife, he met her because she came to his home with George Van Tassel. Okay? I was thinking this could be Connie Menger right here. I'm not 100% sure, but you have to understand that I didn't ask about them. That's not, I could have actually That's not something I wanted to know. I wanted to know who this guy was right here. Okay? Because the only person that I believed at the time could have answered that question was Bernice herself. And she confirmed that this is Frank Ernest Stranges right here. Okay? And that's why I was like, well, you know, it's more, this guy is more the center of attention. Not everyone else, just him. The ambassador of Venus, the commander of a starship, right? So that's who I was looking at. Not looking for anyone else. Now, we can keep going, I guess, till we blue in the face, guys. But the overall message here is that when you come to investigate something, remember, make sure that the information you get is not false. Because, of course, if you get information and it's false information, and then you're the one that's bringing it forward, then you're making yourself look bad. That's why I took my time when I did all this, okay? And I might not be expressing this in a way where people may understand, okay? But that's why I said that I carefully analyzed every detail that I got just to make sure that I wasn't going to come out here on this platform and give you guys falsehood, because that's not something that I'm about. I'm not about that stuff. I'm about facts, okay? It's just like saying the people that tell me, oh, well, then there's no records of Jesus Christ. Wait a minute. All you guys have to do is detail. Obviously, you guys know that there's a big difference here, guys, okay? Now, that's why I don't really want to mention anything of that nature, because people don't understand that in terms of records, there's no way we can find records all the way that far back, unless, you know, like Egyptians and other peoples that kept records of their histories. And all we can go on is what we have now, the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Bible, the Quran, if you want. You know, even though some people do not say it's one and the same, you know, but it's all up to you guys, okay? And that's why I felt that I needed to point out these inconsistencies here, just to show you. Now, of course, I showed you guys already how this picture was the doctored picture, and I showed you guys why it's doctored. But again, you guys don't have to believe it, okay? Where I showed you guys that the woman right here with the arms crossed and legs crossed was in the big meeting, and then you're going to tell me that she's still sitting the same way despite the moving around of the cameraman? I mean, I would think that's impossible for someone to be moving around with the camera over and over again. Okay? Because I'm like, wow, this guy was able to move around and these people still have the same positions. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. Okay? But I felt that I needed to show you guys, because even if you didn't believe me, okay, of the information that I've gotten, I still had to show you the inconsistencies within the story. And I know, people are saying, well, Guy, you sound like a broken record. You're saying the same thing over and over again. Yes, I am saying the same thing over and over again. And the reason for that is because there's people that still promote this story over and over again, and they're lying to you constantly. Because they're still telling you that this story was true when in fact it was not. I also got information that Phil Snyder's Valiant Thor is not real, obviously. And there's his brother and his sister that said that he was a delusional guy and that, you know, he made a lot of things up, guys. But this is not about Phil Snyder. This is about Valiant Thor and Frank Ernest Stranges, the man who basically behind the whole story. Okay? Now, it's your choice, guys, to believe, man. But you don't have to. You don't have to, guys. I just feel that let's put this story to rest. I mean, it's a good story. Yes, it is. Okay? For fantasy, yes. A science fiction story. Great one. But factual? Sorry, guys, it's not. You know, and I'm not... I mean, again, if I felt that the person that told me this was lying to me, okay, then I would have just said, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to just leave it alone and let the story just be. But I felt that I needed to tell you guys because it's only fair that you and I know this, right, guys? Why spend more of your money to go to these lectures of these people that are just trying to make a living off of us? Right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. And it just don't make sense. A lot of these things, like I just showed you, you know, there's no way that that group picture was taken in 1958. There's no way. No way they took that photo in 1958 at Howard Menger's home. When we already know that, like I just told you, the home was sold in December of 1958. So, there's no way it could have been 1958. It had to be 56 or 57 before December. Of course, I believe it was in 1956 based on the newspaper that Frank Ernest Stranges, Valiant Thor, of course, was holding in his hand. That's another thing I wanted to show you guys. I mean, I think I did show you guys that. But I didn't quite I'm not sure if I quite finished showing you that. And I was showing you guys how, yes, it did take place in I say between June. It's because of the newspaper. The newspaper seemed like if it was doctored as well, you know, like if it was messed with. And I mean, I wouldn't put it past August Charles Roberts to do that. You know, I mean, he's a great friend to his friend, you know, Frank Ernest Stranges at the time. So he was able to make things happen. I'm trying to get that photograph for you guys before this thing closes on me. The video. I know a lot of you have more questions, guys. Okay? And I'd be willing to answer your questions. Okay? I'm not going to shy away from any of the questions that you guys got out there. Why should I shy away from any questions? I'm going to give you the answer you're looking for. Okay? I'm still looking for the newspaper. I think this is one of them. Hold on. Let's see, guys. Okay. Yeah, this is... God. Oh, you can see... I blew up the picture. You guys can see that this is the newspaper he was holding. As you guys can see, that, you know, this is the newspaper he's holding right here. But let me show you a better picture than that one because... I got a couple of them. I just don't want to show you guys the messed up one, you know. It's better to show the best one. Hold on. Sorry about that, guys. See, you guys can still see that I'm an amateur here to this thing still. I'm not great in doing these videos. I'm still learning. And that's why I say that sometimes the best thing to do, guys, is to... When someone really doesn't know how to do certain things, all you got to do is help them out, guys. Instead of just, you don't want to stone them, just help them out. You know, because, I mean, there's people like me that is trying to learn. Let's go here. I'm trying to find it. Goodness. Oh, there it is. Here it is. I'm sorry, guys. Right here. Now, this is the newspaper that I believe he was holding. Okay? Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys. The thing about this newspaper, you guys will notice if you blow up the picture, you'll see that it says 10 cents in the upper right corner. You can't see the whole Sunday, but it's the Sunday newspaper that he was holding. And then you see the UN. For some reason, it seems like all this was erased, and you don't see the picture here. You just see UN on the top, but they pushed it up. Okay? And of course, with Photoshopping, you can do that stuff. You can actually do, you can alter things. Okay? Now, you guys don't have to believe me on this one, and that's fine. And then there's another newspaper, the November 18 of 1956, okay? That's the other one. But, again, that's the one that I think also was included with this newspaper. Oh, let me show you guys the UN thing I was talking about. See? This is the newspaper that he was holding in his hand, and you see the big UN, okay? Yeah, you see I didn't make this up, guys, okay? And the information that I've gotten from the newspapers, you will see that 150 people were present at Howard Menger's home. Oh, yeah, this is the blow-up photo of Frank Ernest Stranges, who I told you was at the Bible Seminary. This is the same picture. I just took a blow-up of him by himself. Well, he wasn't alone. I took the photo up close. And that's the same guy that was sitting at Howard Menger's home. But of course, people saying that's not, right? But it's okay. I mean, people can choose to believe it or not. I mean, that's fine with me. All I know is that I believe the facts that I was told. And I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to change. I'm going to leave it as is. So if people want to continue believing in the Valiant Thor story, go right ahead. Now, this is in my own opinion how I said that Connie Menger, this is her right there, she looks like that female who's sitting at Howard Menger's home. Now, you guys can, of course, say, no, that's not her. See, it looks like, to me it does. But, that again, that's not what I was looking at when I first did all this stuff. It was more to concentrate on this ambassador / commander of a starship named Victor 1. And, that was the main focus. But in my own opinion, I felt that that's Connie Menger herself. I mean, people can obviously challenge that, and that's fine with me, I mean, I'm not actually saying it's her. I'm saying in my opinion, I believe it's her. But I didn't check to see if it is her or not. So yeah, guys, I want you, if you like this video, guys, please hit the like button if you like the video that I made today. You don't have to if you don't like. I mean, if you're new to my channel, welcome. Subscribe if you like. I bet you guys will be happy, man, because me, all I can say, I know there's other channels like this, okay? I know there's a lot of channels that are into stuff like this, but I can clearly show you guys that I'm not the one that's lying to you guys, okay? Because I truly believe in honesty. And I do believe that all of us together, all like-minded people, will believe that what's true and what's not true. Okay? If I really believed that this story was true, I would have said that it was. If I really believed that what I was told is a lie, then I would not be here telling you this, that the story is true if it's a lie. Okay, guys? Now, all I can say is just investigate yourselves. If you don't believe me, that's fine. Do your own investigations, and you will find out for yourselves that just about everything that I give you is 100% accurate. Okay? And there's a lot more stories that I can come up with, guys, that I will look into. And that's why I said to you guys, if you have any stories that you would like me to look into, I would definitely be glad to do it. Simply because this is something that I like doing, guys. Okay? I like doing this stuff. This is something that, not everyone believes. Well, yeah, I would say a majority of people believe we're not alone in the universe. And we still craving for disclosure and hoping that it comes through. And, the United Nations and all the countries in the world decide that it is time for us to